In this example, we're going to compile and build a fairly simple MapReduce program. However, it's one that can offer a lot of functionality and use for many people who don't have a lot of experience writing specific mapper or reducer programs. And basically what that is to allow us to do a grep using MapReduce. So the program we're going to use, the source code is included with the Hadoop source files, is called capital grep, and that's important because, as we all know, Unix has a grep command. We don't want to confuse the two. And again, we've got notes in there that tell us how to build things, so we'll just jump through the build steps, just like the other build steps that we've done. First, we want to make sure we've got our classes directory, and then we're going to go and compile the program, and then we're going to package it up. We built the program, and one other thing I wanted to mention is this grep program uses something called chaining in MapReduce, where it takes the input of one map and reduce and feeds it into the other. So I'm not going to go into the details of it now, but it's an interesting technique that can be used to make more complex MapReduce cases and problems. So we've built the program. Let's take a look here. We've got everything we need here. Now we're ready to run the program. Here's our familiar command line, the grep.jar file, and here we tell it the user the input file as usual, and we tell it the output file as usual. And with grep now, we're going to put in pretty much any argument that a standard grep command would take. So that gives us quite a bit of latitude in terms of what we're searching for. We can use some fairly sophisticated pattern matching when we do our search. So in this case, to continue with our theme, we're going to use General Kutsov and see how many times it's mentioned. And by the way, grep will list how many matches it finds for the expression we include. Now this of course is fairly simple, and we'll run the program as before. The MapReduce steps. And as you recall, when I mentioned this was a chaining example, notice that now we've got another map process started where we had one before, now we have another one. So there's two separate processes going on here, two separate MapReduce processes. So the results should be in. So let's clear our screen and see what output we got. And we're typing the directory for the output. And here we have 530 instances of Kutsov in War and Peace. So yet again, another way to examine some data, a little more flexible in that we've got one program and we can change the searching parameters like we would with grep. Now the final example with this is I actually have downloaded and placed in the Hadoop file system. And in here you'll see I have a directory called Wikipedia. And if we look in that, you'll see that we have a rather large file called nwiki-text.xml. So this is actually a text dump of Wikipedia, and I'll have in the notes how this was created. There's a utility that can take the standard Wikipedia dumps that are available online and convert it into a mostly text file. And there also, by the way, are some efforts to allow Hadoop to work with an XML Wikipedia dump, and that's also very interesting. So the idea here was we're going to use a big piece of data, and let's reshape our command to use this Wikipedia data. And we just need to change our input and output directories. And if I've done it correctly, we should be good to go. So let's set this job off. Obviously, it's going to take longer than our other jobs, and we'll come back when this job is finished. Okay, we're back from our little break as the program ran, and actually I cheated a bit. I restarted it because I wanted to measure the time it took. As you can see from the bottom of the screen, it was basically about 83 seconds in runtime, which was very convenient because it works out that the file size is 8.3 gigs, and that gives us a nice even 100 megabytes per second of bandwidth for our grep job. And let's see what the results look like. And what I've done is do our standard hadoop dfs-cat, and we're going to look at the file part -5 zeros, and let's see what the answer is. And here we had 670 instances of Kutsov in Wikipedia, which I might like to add is more than we found in War and Peace. So he was a real figure in Russian history, and so he does figure more prominently in Wikipedia. So that's the example of using grep, and again, we could make more complicated greps and grep through Wikipedia and look for interesting things and facts that we may not be aware of. So that finishes up our grep example, and it's certainly something you can try and play with yourself.